There we go. Got the audio for Redneck.
You live?
We are live, sir. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Can't complain.
Glad
Living the dream.
to hear it. That's right. You know, I think this is the third time, right? It's third time I've gotten to talk to the Redneck. That's pretty awesome. You're our first trifecta fighter,
Nice.
right? Right? Yeah, it's a special honor. If I had a plaque, I'd give it to you, but I don't have one. You know what? I got some of these fake belts over here in the corner. I could probably give you one of those. I mean, Mike Perry's got a couple. I could probably give you one of one of those things.
I got some real ones. We're good.
And real one's probably better. With that, Dave, thank you for joining us. I'm going to get the big guy Jeremy over here to do his job. I got this thing working finally. Jeremy, get your big head in here. It's time for you to do this podcast. What am I doing? You're interviewing Redneck Mundell. Why do I schedule these things? Sorry, Dave. He's never on time for anything. I apologize for him. He's probably eating chicken nuggets. There. Thank you, sir. Jeremy will be right here. What's up, man?
What's up, brother?
Did he tell you about the chicken nuggets thing? That shit happened yesterday.
Something about some food.
I was late for the podcast yesterday because I was eating chicken nuggets. That's not. I mean, that's a reasonable damn excuse, I think. Puppets, man. They think they're in charge. I don't know what to say. How have you been, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. I can't complain. I've been able to do everything I've been wanting to do, and some extra family time, some relaxed time. Enjoyed the holidays. It's a good
Family
day.
time is nice. Family time is what it's all about, right?
Yes, sir.
You know, with that family time, I got to ask, you're BKFC Middleweight Champ. Are you still putting in that extra work, working as an electrician?
Oh, yeah.
Still doing the electrical work too?
I do. I still work with my stepdad. Knocking down jobs.
My man, I don't know how you run that schedule, my friend. I don't know how you do it.
It's getting harder and harder, but it does, in a weird way, keep me in a routine. Something I've done. Literally, I've worked with them the entire time I fought. So it's just like, wake up, do whatever little morning workout, go to work, get off work, lift weights, go train, come home, eat some food, go to bed, do it all again the next day. So just keeps me on a rhythm right now.
That's a hell of a grind. That is a hell of a grind. Yeah. So everyone out there who thinks that you don't got time, Dave Mundell is a world-class fighter, world-class striker, working as an electrician. Still has that time. Makes it. Yeah, illegal brother-in-law Joe's in the comments, Dave. He's not making that time. Joe, you got to hit the gym. I'm in the gym every morning. You can get in the gym too. I'm not an electrician. My job's not that physically intensive anymore.
It's one of those things, until you make it, until you make yourself go and make it make it mandatory. Like there's no slacking off, and then it just becomes easy at that point as long as you stick with it. People who say they don't have time, like, they got to make time.
Yeah, and I often hear people talk about not being motivated, and it's been a long time since I've been motivated to get into the gym. I'm dedicated. I do it every day.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm always motivated to do it, but
discipline is greater than motivation, for sure. Because when you're in there and you're working for something and you're tired and you feel like giving up and you can't, that's the difference. Motivation only gets you so far.
That's for sure, man, because motivation can dwindle. But if you're a dedicated person, you got nothing to worry about.
Exactly.
You can just keep making it happen. So you're training right now. What does that look like? You're not currently in a fight camp, correct?
I'm not. I'm waiting to hear some details. Hopefully something soon. I'm itching to get back in there. And currently, I just kind of, I have a set schedule that I do during camp. I pretty much stick to that schedule outside of camp, but the only thing that I do is like tonight, like my daughter had volleyball practice. I went and took off and went and watched her. And I was kind of feeling under the weather this weekend anyways, but we're back up and at it, and we'll get back to the gym tomorrow, and then we'll just keep going until something else pops up and take off. But when I'm in fight camp, that's mandatory.
Yeah, man. Like, whenever you look at your camps, do you adjust the length of your camp based upon opponent, or you just got a set time frame, like 6 weeks out, whatever it may be?
I mean, in a perfect world, my camp would be at least 8 weeks. You know, a lot of times I don't get I'll get a short notice fight, or I might have like 4 or 5 weeks to get ready for it, and I do it to myself because I could definitely do a better job at staying closer to weight. But I'm a fat boy at heart, and I love food, so I tend to get up there a little bit, and then we got to get all that weight off real fast. But on the flip side of that, it makes you train harder and makes my cardio good because I don't have a choice. I can't slack off.
So whenever you say you're up there a little bit, where are you at right now, weight wise?
I'm about like 210, 213 in between there. I fluctuate throughout the day. If I wake up, I'm under 210 by the end of the day. Like right now, I'm like 213.
That's not bad. So you got to camp, got to get down to 175.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the majority of that is cutting weight, a lot of water weight. But we just talked about this not too long ago. During my camp, obviously, just between forcing yourself to go, doing a little bit extra cardio and pushing a little bit harder, I'll get down naturally, just eating the way I'm eating, about 200 pounds. And then I'll get, I don't know, maybe another like 5 off, 2, 3 weeks out from the fight. And then I cut the rest from 195-ish.
That's not bad. It doesn't sound fun to me anymore. But
I
that's not bad. I've seen people do crazier shit.
Yeah. It's one of those things that like I know I can do it, so I don't. How do I put that? I don't really stop myself from getting up there because I'm like, I can just work it off later. But it's also one of those things that I am getting older, and it's gonna get a little bit harder, and I got to start paying attention because my last fight, cutting weight, I had a little bit of a scare, nothing major. It just kind of like froze up on me a little bit, and I was like, I'm not losing weight. Like, what's going on? It kind of stood still for like an hour, and then I started getting the dump off again. But shit happens.
As you're getting older and those weight cuts are not as easy as they used to be, it's crazy because, you know, I got it playing in the background here. The package they put together for you, Dave Mundell, the comeback kid. It's over on Shriller and BKFC's YouTube channels.
Oh yeah,
Man, your movement, man, you seem like you're lighter. You're moving quicker. Your
yeah.
footwork's better.
I'm about
It's
40
it's.
pounds lighter in that ring than normal. No, I feel that way, but um, I just that's the art of boxing. I don't like watching people who don't move their head, and I pick on them, and I'm always telling all my people, what they have to do. So I damn sure ain't gonna go out there and look like I'm stuck in the mud.
Yeah, and man, like you don't. And we talked, after your last fight, how I said, that wherever it started off, I was a little nervous because you weren't quite moving those first few seconds like you were previously, and then all of a sudden, just boom, you were just moving around. You were not getting hit. It looked like it just became so easy for you.
Yes. Are you talking about the Coltrane fight?
Yeah,
Yeah, he it goes back to like taking every opponent seriously, which I do, but like walking in there and then giving them too much respect, because I don't want to take them lightly, and I'm kind of like trying to feel shit out, and it's not needed all the time. And so when when I caught that stupid little jab that swelled my eye up, I got pissed off a little bit, and also knew I had to finish the fight quick so I didn't get stopped over some bullshit like that. So I just turned on the heat.
yeah, and that you did. That's for damn sure. And then we had the post-fight, that interaction with you and Mike Perry. Is that the fight you're looking for? You want that Platinum Mike Perry fight?
Absolutely. The kid's trash, and I just want to be able to show everybody how trash he is. He doesn't stand a chance, and everyone's like, oh, this, all that. Just wait, just wait. When it happens, because it's going to happen, and when it happens, everyone's going to see.
You see in the comments, there's so much shit on social media. Everybody calls back to when you and him fought previously. And I find myself constantly, trying to explain to people, like, you're not the same fighter. And bare knuckle's not the same sport. It's a totally different thing.
Different sport,
And,
different levels.
and I don't mean to shit on Mike Perry, but I don't see an evolution in Mike Perry from his time in MMA to his time in bare knuckle. For me, from my perspective, he's fighting the same as he's always fought. There's no evolution.
Like,
if anything, he's gotten slower.
Yeah, he's gotten comfortable. He's made that money. He's lax, and he's banking off of being tough. He likes to eat punches. I guarantee you, he's not going to eat mine.
And that's one of the things that he has said in interviews about, taking one to give one. You're right. He rests on the idea that he's tough and he can eat shots. But if anyone who hasn't seen it, go back and watch Dave Mundell versus Richie and those shots that you were dropping him with. No one's going to stand in front of you and eat those shots. It's just not going to happen.
And especially like Mike, who literally doesn't move his head. I can just pick and choose when I want to throw. It'd be easy. So easy. So easy.
How likely do you see that being your next fight? Do you think they're going to, they call him the face of BKFC. That I disagree with it. I don't think Mike Perry's the face of BKFC, but
they're banking off of his popularity, so they're using him to bring in as much money as possible, much eyes to the sport. I get it. I'm fine with, I think someone said something about he had like a 4-fight contract, 3-fight contract. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Whenever it comes to the end of that contract and they're like, okay, we've gotten everything we can out of Mike. Let's go ahead and feed him to Dave. And then I'm going to whoop that boy's ass and forget about Mike.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation that the UFC has an interest in Mike Perry again, and I don't know that I think that's necessarily factual, but I think, maybe that's the send-off from BKFC to send him back, is to finally feed him to you and let you send him back damaged goods. But, I think I see so many people because, since me and you sat down and had our first conversation, BKFC has, as we predicted, continued to blow up. And you're right, they've used Mike Perry. They've used that image of him spitting blood, which is a badass picture. But that don't make him the face of BKFC, in my opinion.
I don't get it either. It's just the fact that he's tough. That's it. That's all it is. They want to see that. Everyone likes watching people get their ass beat. So he gets his ass beat.
Yeah. He does. That's, they talk about the dog in the fight, but man, it's interesting to see some of the punishment he's taken and turned it around on guys who are just significantly less durable. And this doc they put out of you, they call you the comeback kid. How do you like that? Do you feel comfortable being called the comeback kid?
I've really lost a round. I think I've lost one round my entire career, and that's when I got knocked down by Grusso. I can never remember this kid's name. I hate it, but I lost the first round. Then after that, I wiped the floor with him. But that's it.
Yeah, I see that they called us the comeback kid. That was one of the key things I wanted to ask you about. Because which one of these fights that they're going to put in here is Dave making a comeback? It's not. I can't think of a scenario where I thought you were in jeopardy and you fought back from that adversity. Your BKFC career has been a lot of surprising the shit out of people with your power, I think.
Yeah. People look outside looking in, and they don't realize what it's like when you're in there. And I have my own style, so I don't really change it up or anything. But it's like everybody I fight is different. Little things just happen differently. It depends on how they're going to push forward, and it's hard to relate to that unless you fought before. But it's easier to shine on somebody who doesn't know how to fight. But then you get in there with somebody that will fight, and then you can make the other person look like they don't know how to fight. So it's just it's what it is.
Yeah. I feel like, if we can see here in your BKFC career, I feel like you've been put into these situations where you're at a reach disadvantage and somehow it's never a factor. You is that something you specifically work on, that getting inside with what is, I mean, those of you guys who can see it, this is you against Lane.
I'm
You're getting in there and out.
At the reach of 6 foot. I got some ape hangers for arms. No, I know how to box. Yeah, I know the art. I love it. I go in there. I train. I'm never really satisfied with my performance. I go in there. If something happens, if I'm sparring with somebody and they get the better of me that day, and I go home and I'm just sitting there thinking about it, and I'm like, how am I going to stop that from happening? Outside of that, my coaches and everybody always, they see things. They're giving me my focal points, things that I need to work on, and it just light years ahead of these guys in the BKFC. They're all brawlers. There's not even an intelligent brawling scenario behind them. They just throw to throw. They don't know why they're throwing. They're just closing their eyes, praying they connect to something, and that's it. I'm setting traps. I'm moving around them. I'm making them miss. I'm making them pay, and that's just how the sport's supposed to be.
Is there someone out there, whether it be BKFC, whether it be an MMA promotion, or what? Now there's a ton more bare-knuckle organizations across the world than there were a year ago. Is there anyone out there that you see that you would say is someone who you would have a lot more fun with in the ring because their skill level is beyond those guys currently in your weight class in BKFC?
No, listen, I'm light years ahead of everybody, and especially in this sport. Anybody from another boxing organization, anybody from UFC, like they're gonna come over. I have bare knuckle figured out. I am the best. There's nobody out there that could even hang with me, and I'll just continue to prove that. There's some kids that are too tough for their own good. They might be able to last, and I maybe won't knock them out, but they're not gonna win a round. I'm just gonna completely abuse them for the full 10 minutes of the fight.
I seen a quote. I think Lorenzo said it, that BKFC is not a retirement home for UFC fighters. It's a graveyard. And I like that. That needs to be his T-shirt. Because that's such a great quote. Because I see people talk about, this person in this MMA organization would do this in BKFC. I'm like, no, it's a different sport. It's not the same. It's not the same shit. Really, whenever you're eating these shots bare knuckle and you can't shoot in for that double, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the big difference between MMA and the bare knuckle boxing is you can't grapple. You can't get hit and then grab them and take them down and hope to recover while you're on the ground for a little bit. And it's different than boxing because the whole range changes. You're not getting hit with the pillows. So and on top of all that, you have to be careful you don't hurt your own hands. You got to pick your shots, and I believe that's where I shine the most. Is like I can put people where I want them to hit them the way I want, and that's what's worked for me for so far, and that's what I'm going to keep doing.
How much of that is a technique that's worked on in the gym, and how much of that is a natural developed instinct? Do you guys work on that footwork that brings that that creates that opening for you to select those shots?
Listen, I've pretty much trained the same way my entire career. It's just, and everybody knows they're supposed to have head movement. Everyone knows they're supposed to move their feet. But for whatever reason, when people get in there, all of a sudden it's like, oh, that doesn't work that way. Like they can't do it. I don't know. They can look great on the mitt, look on the bag. Listen, if you went in there and watched me hit mitts and you watched me punch the bag, you'd be like, this motherfucker can't even fight. But I don't know why. Is when I'm in the ring and I have a person in front of me, that's when I shine. I can move. I know I fall outside of their shoulders. I step in. I see the reactions. I throw lots of feints. I keep picking at them and I keep dissecting them. And then as soon as I figure out what's going to work for me, I start putting it to work. And then if they find a way to shut that down, I'll move on to the next scheme. And we just keep running over and over and over again. Every time they find a way to shut it down, I'm going to find something else to throw at them.
Yeah, and watching, like, anyone watching can see your movement here. And whenever I watch you compete in bare knuckle, it reminds me of I think it was Cowboy Cerrone. So that whenever he fights, he sees himself in third person. So he sees himself and the person he's fighting. And I feel like that's kind of like your movement, because you're moving you and you're moving your opponent. You're dictating where they're going, and it's really unique, and it's why I think you've been so dominant, because he's not making the choice of where he goes. You're choosing that shit for him.
Pushing them, I'm steering them. I'm always trying to win little mental battles and making them uncomfortable. Just something as stupid as if they want to circle to their left the whole time, and I start stepping out in front of them and then force them to the right, and all of a sudden they're like, they can't jab going that way. It's surprising on how many people have such huge flaws in their game, but they've done so well. But I'm gonna pick it out, and I'm gonna keep nitpicking at it, and I'm gonna make you adjust.
Do you spend a good amount of time in your training camp watching tape on your opponent, looking for those flaws?
I don't. Usually, like, if I first off, I believe that's the coach's job. They're gonna see what they need to see, and they're like, Dave, this is what our focal points are. This is what we're working on. I'll usually get tape on somebody, or they'll be like, I'll look up their fight. It'll be like 30 seconds in. I'll just put the phone down. Man, I got this. Like it's this point in my career, I don't really feel like there's anybody out there that I can't already deal with. So I'm so used to making adjustments mid-fight, in the middle of the round. It doesn't matter. Like, I'll adjust. I'll do what I need to take something away. And sometimes, like, for instance, when I fought Richmond, I was trying to kind of like keep him on the outside. I was going to pick him apart and box with him a little bit. And he caught me with that straight hand. And whether or not I could have stayed with the scheme I wanted to do, I knew right away, okay, let's just push in. And then all of a sudden, he couldn't fight backwards. Yeah. I was able to get that way, and I just rushed him. And then every time I'd kind of stay on the outside, I'd get clipped with something. So it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, well, I know where I got to be, so this is where I'm going to go. And that's just being a true fighter. That's my fight IQ kicking in for me. And that's what my coaches have taught me. It's what we drill every day. It's all different schemes. You don't just walk in there and throw punches. You don't just walk in there with just the jabs, or whatever people want to say. Like, you got to be able to make moves.
Yeah, and that Richmond fight was one where I think a lot of people maybe discredited your power and your ability to land with your power versus his. 'Cause I remember seeing people talk about that you wouldn't be able to stand in there and go with Richmond as if he was going to somehow be able to bully you.
Listen, and
what do these people think?
Yeah, no, I'm glad people thought that way, because first, let me start with this. Like, I respect Richmond. I think he's an awesome fighter, and I really do believe that he can clean up the division and he can beat everybody but me. But when I look at him, what do you Bellator, like 145? Like, he's a smaller frame guy. So he's not walking around, or he didn't used to walk around at this heavyweight fight with these heavier guys. Like, there's weight classes for a reason, you know, and when you get hit with that power from somebody from a different weight class, like, you can feel the difference. And granted, he hits hard, everybody does in a way, but I was the bigger person, and in all honesty, I knew at the very least I could bully him if I wanted to, which is kind of what happened in the fight, anyways. But it's just I really just feel the size difference. So, I'm glad people didn't be like, "Oh, Dave's fighting a smaller guy," because that's how I feel when I look at Perry. Like, okay, he fought Rockhold. Everyone's like, Rockhold's big. I'm like, yeah, but he's a kickboxer. Like, what's he gonna do? Learn boxing in 3 months? Like, come on, get out of here. Fuck. And then he fought Eddie Alvarez, and I was really excited about that because I feel like they handpicked that fight knowing that Eddie was a smaller guy. But I was like, they don't realize that Eddie can box like that, you know. And it did turn out that Mike Perry was just a little bit too big for him, you know. So I'm like, I'm still waiting here. I'm still here. But whenever they're ready to give him to me, I'm his size. You know, I'm way better than he is. There's no excuses. I'm a true fight, and I'm waiting.
If there doesn't come some more talent into your division in BKFC, are you ever looking to move up a weight class? Is that something that you've thought about, looked down the road as a possibility?
Like I said, I'm a fat boy at heart, so I would love to move up in weight classes. I am just waiting. I'm just waiting for, just waiting for Jared to be like, "Yo, I'll go down to 70. You take 85, and we're gonna swap." And he can go take the 75-pound belt, and it'll be happily ever after from there. Because I've said this in the past interviews too. It's like he fights at 85, but he walks around, you know, like 195. So he'll go back in the ring about 195. I fight at 75, walk around 210, 215 between there. And when I go back into the fight, I'm 200 pounds. So I'm fighting underneath him and still fighting when I actually fight weighing more than he does. So it's like, but I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting because I would 100% move up to the 85-pound class and take that too.
Yeah, I seen on one of the pages, someone's comment was that they didn't think that Perry would fight you at middleweight, and I was like, well, I mean, he certainly doesn't want to go up a weight class and fight Redneck. That's just dumb. Like,
Perry set my moving up a weight class for me. He said something about if he was ever going to fight for the belt, he'd want it at 185. I was just like, well, sweet. Like, I'll go take the belt at 85 then. And then, so it's not like, oh, Dave's moving up. Why? Nobody understands. I'm like, because I'm still chasing Perry. Like,
yeah,
I still want to beat that boy.
and I think that would be a great fight for you to showcase the level differences in BKFC versus, just being tough. And big thing is with that fight, brother, that'd be such a payday for you. You would get so much money in that fight. And I would clean up betting on you because so many people
I'm
would
really
be so stupid to take Mike Perry.
make the underdog. Would they make me the underdog? Like a little friend.
Dude, I think they would make you an underdog. I really think they would.
I made a joke one time because I forget who I was fighting. Maybe it was Ricky. I don't know. I was fighting somebody and I was the underdog. I'm like, oh, fucking perfect. I'm gonna throw my whole purse down on me. And then they had a huge meeting like, you guys can't do that. It's illegal. I was like, I didn't fucking know. Like, I was just talking shit anyways. But I mean, whatever. It doesn't matter.
It's illegal to bet on yourself.
I know this is crazy. I'm like, I can see one thing if you're gonna say like, I'm gonna bet that I'm gonna lose, and I go, lose. Like, okay, yeah, that's fucking suspicious. But to say that, hey, I'm gonna bet on myself to win, like, why is that illegal? I don't know. Whatever. I mean, in the
Yeah.
sense that we're doing that already because we're out there fighting, so we're betting that we're gonna win. But whatever.
Yeah, that shit makes no sense to me. But just to make sure no one gets confused, Dave's not saying he's betting at all. He's not gambling on fighting in any capacity. We're good. Just don't send anyone after it. It doesn't make any sense to anybody. That shit's dumb. But yeah, man. And that Perry fight happens, I'm gonna be putting some money down on you because I think they would make you the underdog.
You know? Yeah.
As silly as that is, I think they would just because everyone thinks he's the face of BKFC.
Listen, I think the shift team in general has made a lot of people a lot of money because we'll go in there and you could just parlay all of us and we clean house. And there's been a few times where you could put like $1 on it and win like $1,000. And I, I know a few guys who have made some fucking money doing it, which is pretty cool.
Uh, Thank you. Team from the Donnybrook Company was in here checking us out. They gotta get out of here. They do some great fight posters, man. Have you seen
From them, and I actually like them guys. They made one for me, the Ricci fight, yeah. And then
yeah.
we've sent it to a lot of like my family members and stuff, and they helped out a lot, and they made a lot of people happy. So shout out to them as well.
Yeah, they do some great work. Absolutely fantastic work, man. So when do you think you'll have something that's going to be a good offer for you to see you getting back in there?
I was looking for March. I would like to fight in March. And then anytime, I mean, really the sooner the better at this point. I feel like I kind of need that push to go ahead and be like, all right, I gotta go back. I enjoyed being in fight camp. Is a lot of people, I don't know whether they do or not because life is so simple. The simplicity, just wake up and know that I got to get to practice this time. I know I can only eat this much. Everything's kind of already out for me, and we just go. Like all those house chores, I'm like, nah, I can't get to them today. I got to go. We'll get that shit after camp. Stuff like that. So it just makes, I enjoy it. Like I can just put my head down and I can grind, and that's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, man, you got to be careful getting too much freedom to let that fat kid at heart, come out and take things over. Before you know it, you're going to end up being like me and have to transition away from combat sports and move into strongman because you can be a fat boy and still be competitive.
I see a lot of Patty, the UFC fighter, or whatever, how they're always like, he fights it this way, he's always gaining weight. Listen, I've been doing that shit for 10 years. I've done this for 10 years. Out of all like the nutritionists and stuff too I talk to, I'm like, what's the most weight you've ever seen somebody gain before stepping back in the cage? They're all like, like 20 pounds. I'm like, yeah, I'm at 26. They're like, oh shit. Like, that's what I do.
Man, that's insane. That is like, I've seen people do some dumb shit. I had a cousin of mine. He was this is early 2000s. I think he was walking around like he's probably about 210, and he made a cut to get to 170 one time, and I thought he was gonna die. Like it was ridiculous.
That's another thing too. I used to MMA this I used to fight at was 170, so I used to cut down there to 170. So I used to get it. So having those 5 pounds for the BKFC has always been so nice, but I'm still complaining because I'm 85. I don't know. I'm a mess. What can I say?
Being a fat kid at heart, what's your go-to? What's your go-to fat kid treat?
It's funny because believe it or not, I really don't eat that much junk food. Like it's not like you'll ever see me like snacking on a bag of chips or like stuff like that. But like go on the boat, or like I'll have some subs, and here at home, man, steak is where it's at. I'll eat I'll eat like 2-3 ribeyes in one set, and I don't give a shit. Like I just not at all.
Damn.
I can put away some food too, and then we go out for sushi. Now okay, there we go. There's a treat. Granted, sushi is also healthy, but you could ask my mitt man. When we were out in Utah to watch Barry fight, and I wanted to try to get up on stage, blah blah blah. I wanted to whoop his ass. One of the things we did is we went for some sushi, and when I ordered my sushi, they looked at it, and the lady, like when she brought it to the table, she had, it was like one of those, sharing platter things. I'm like, no, like that's mine. They watched me eat all that shit. They were impressed.
Yo, I don't know if BKFC gets sanctioned in Ohio, but if it does, you guys end up in Cleveland, I'll take you out to mine and my wife's sushi spot.
There you go.
We got this spot we go to. It's all you can eat sushi, and it's not buffet style. It's you pay a price and you order sushi off the menu, and they keep bringing you sushi for 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
They get a little iffy if you go and like you order like 13 rolls at one time or something crazy. Like, we're not gonna bring you all those.
The sushi's actually good as well.
Yeah.
And I remember like you got to eat the rice and you got to eat the fish, and everything that's left on your plate is like 25 or 50 cents a roll that's left over. I'm like, I ain't gotta worry about that. I got this. And it's weird too, like and like you eat it and you can fucking be stuffed to the gills, and then an hour later you're like, I'm hungry.
It's all that rice, man. Just burns up.
Yes. It's right to my love handle.
That's all right. It just makes you more durable.
Yeah, exactly.
Insulation. But man, before we get out of here, any sponsors you need to shout out? Anybody you want to thank? Anything you need to plug?
I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. You guys, the fans is what makes all this worth it. What makes this lifestyle possible. Because without you guys wanting to tune in to watch me beat some people up, I wouldn't make no money, and then I'd have to just work.
Well, good thing is, man, we had David Feldman on, last week, and he's working on a lot more deals. He got a partnership with Connor's Stout Company, and he said he's got a lot of things cooking to change fighters' lives who've been loyal to him. So
I know he said he was looking to set up a fight in Saudi Arabia. Now, something I usually don't do is fight out of the country just because it's kind of sketchy, but I don't know why. But I want to fight over there. So Feldman, let's set that up.
Yeah, he was talking about, looking at other countries and other things on the agenda, and he was expecting to make some. He said that we would have some partnership announcements inside of a week, which we got that with Connor's Forged Stout. And he said, some other countries could be announced inside of 2 weeks. So that clock's ticking. We're about 8 days out from the deadline of what he was saying. So who knows what we could be hearing here soon from Mr. Feldman.
Yeah, he's a busy man, and I
he
appreciate
is.
everything he does. So I'm staying. Yeah. Can't wait to figure it all out.
Yeah, you told me before you're loyal to BKFC and you didn't even have a contract, walking around with a title, no contract holding you there. So that says something about his leadership and how he's running that promotion, and I think it speaks highly of him.
Want to fight on this guy on this date against this guy? It's like, send it over. Let's do it.
That's awesome, man. Well, Dave, I want to thank you for your time. As always, it's always a treat to get to talk to you. Glad you're healthy and glad you're enjoying life. Very excited to hear what will be next for you. And when that fight announcement gets made, be happy to have you on. So that way, we can both talk shit about your opponent, honestly.
Do it.
All right, Dave, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate you, my friend. You take care.
You too, brother.
Thank you, everyone who checked us out. We appreciate you guys checking us out live on Instagram. If you didn't catch this live on Instagram, I appreciate you checking us out on Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, Google Podcasts, or wherever it is you found us. I thank you. Mark the Monster thanks you. We will be back later on in the week. We'll talk WWE, AEW. The Royal Rumble's coming up on Saturday. Everybody is here. Go watch Monday Night Raw. Let's see what Seth Rollins is doing with that belt. We're out.